Hello and welcome in, everybody. My name is Laura, and this is going to be a twin flame message for the Twin Flame Collective. And so I came into a massive intuitive download that I've been asked to share with all of you. So just remember, I'm not here to tell you what to do. This message is here to guide you and nudge you in the right direction. So take all messages with a grain of salt and just use this reading as an opportunity to step into your power, to step into empowerment, so you can create the life that you want. So let's talk about these messages. And so the Tower was very prominent in this channeling. And so the Tower kind of comes in to break down all of the false beliefs that can lead to a lot of delusions, a lot of disillusionment. But this is where we kind of open up the gateway to mastering our spiritual skills. And so we all have skills for living in this new earth timeline. And we are all here to live our life like art. And so everything we do is art. The way we choose to dress, the way we choose to style our hair, the way we choose to express our truth, it's all forms of art. We all have this great art within us. And so right now there's a lot of energy, I feel, being channeled into the Twin Flame Collective, and it kind of feels like we're part of this great big experimentation at times, but we are here to perfect our skillful expression. And so we've got a powerful new moon in Virgo taking place today, and this is the cross of planning. Virgo energy is all about planting the seed, planning to take action, and taking those right action steps. But first we got to work through the delusions, we got to work through the disillusionment. And so right now, I feel the feminine's in this beautiful daydreamer energy, right? We have to kind of be a dreamer. We have to kind of daydream in order to really find the expression of our talents. And we do that through daydreaming, through our imagination. That is what allows us to open up and to activate the third eye. And so I do feel as the feminine steps into the role of public communication, inevitably this leads the masculine to this unrealized realization of who the true feminine is. And so right now they're having a hard time with this disillusionment when it comes to sifting through fantasy and fact. And so a lot of the masculines are cynics when it comes to the awakening, are cynics when it comes to the divine feminine and the truth that they do know resides in their heart and their soul. And so they're working through, I feel, themes of doubtfulness right now. And so there's this sharpness coming in to kind of burst the masculine's bubble in these energies, because the feminine, I feel, is at this point where she's finally mastering being self-reliant. We've got skills, right? We know how to master our discernment. We know how to judge objectively at this point in time. And it doesn't matter what other people think of us, regardless of what other people have to say about the divine feminine. The divine feminine, I feel, is in this place of perfected expression when it comes to her skills and her talents. And so this is creating a very compulsive, cynical cycle, I feel, surrounding the masculine, whose very cynicism is going to turn into the source of this newfound enthusiasm, I feel. And so the independence energy was loud. The feminine needs to master independence, and we have to master confidence, and patience is key on the journey. And so we have to be willing to self-generate. We have to be willing to self-generate and self-sustain before coming into twin flame union. And so it is all about proper divine timing. We have to maintain our own natural rhythm. We have to avoid deflation of the ego. We have to independently master our skills and our talents, and we have to learn how to properly express them. And there is always the energy of proper divine timing, right? So stay in the rhythm, stay in the flow, divine feminine. Divine masculine, I do feel he's kind of like a hurt little boy, a hurt little child now, whose overconfidence at one point in time is now leading him to all kinds of frustration, because he's created this unnecessary resilience, and he's overly reliant on that karmic cycle. And so he's out there seeking all of this external validation. And so to be the leader is to step into creative recognition. And so to be a creative leader, it is all about genuine and sincere support. And that is what the divine feminine does, is she recognizes others. She sees people. She recognizes their gifts. She recognizes their talents. And so it is all about enthusiasm for service to the higher goals, to the higher purpose. And so when we recognize our skills, then we have to use those skills to support others stepping into their talents and their gifts. And so the masculine is in this state of refusal of the call, refusal of supporting and recognizing the divine feminine's talent still. He's kind of like the Grinch that stole Christmas. That's kind of the energy I felt surrounding the divine masculine. The refusal to share, the refusal to recognize the talents. And so right now, the feminine is really exalted in this powerful state. I feel a lot of the feminines have risen into their power, and they're in this state of enthusiasm, and they don't care. They're going to ride their purpose solo, with or without the masculine being converted, is really where I feel a lot of the divine feminine collective are at. And so eventually the conversion is going to happen. Eventually the masculine will have to convert, or so to speak, or be delivered, so to speak. And so right now the masculine is kind of in the fall, and he's thinking, well, I'm going to be happy when, I'll be happy when this happens, or I'll be happy when this happens, or if I can get this to happen, then I'll take action. And so really it's all just about taking the action. And so this fall energy of like, I'll only be happy when, I'll only take action when, is really just a huge mirror, I feel, of lacking confidence. A lot of the masculines are lacking confidence, I feel. And so a lot of them too are lacking this confidence because they've been very gullible in those toxic karmic relationship patterns and cycles. And so they've got to kind of understand that pattern in its entirety in order to fully step into the role of mastery, self-mastery. And so the masculines, I feel, this new moon energy, are at the cross of re-identification. They've been susceptible to propaganda, to outside opinions. And so they no longer hold those same principles, I feel, in that karmic cycle. But something about Neptune retrograde, there's still a lot of delusions that I feel the masculine is working through. And so they kind of got to destroy the illusionary cycle in order to seek that new form and to get grounded in that new life form. And so when Jupiter goes retrograde, this is going to be a very painful withdrawing process, I feel, for a lot of the masculines in order to restructure these social foundations. And so he's going to have to permanently dismantle the old when it comes to that tower energy in order for him to kind of go through this energy of failure. And so I feel a lot of the masculines are in the energy of judgment, the tower, and the 9 of Wands. And so there's a lot of channeling of like emotional waves, like it comes in waves. And so we kind of got to speak our truth. We got to take action, but we can't do that until we have that overall collective understanding of what we're here to do. And so eventually we're all here to make our mark in the world. But I feel right now the masculine is still very critical and cynical about the path, but he's looking at the feminine as this very skilled performer or public speaker. And he really is finding his enthusiasm through the divine feminine's talent. But if they don't begin, they're never going to start at any point in time, right? So they're being asked to begin. And I was shown the 8 of Cups, which is the need to walk away from the distortion, the delusions. And so the masculine needs to re-identify with himself and re-identify in order to hone in on his skills, to figure out what it is he needs to dedicate himself to. But if he's not dedicated to himself, then he's going to keep playing into these repetition of these negative cycles. And so we kind of got to stay focused on our spiritual practice to divine feminine, because we can't wait for the masculines to reach that point of mastery. We have to keep transcending and honing in on our skills ourselves, because we have to become art itself. And so the world is kind of waiting for the moment where the masculine steps into this leadership position. It's kind of like when the dancer finally decides to do the dance, or when you finally decide to live life and become your own masterpiece. And so we can't keep looking for the masculine to come forward. We have to learn to express our own expertise and to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so without walking away from the past, we do become overly self-critical, and we do feel like, hey, we're not adequate enough. And so I think a lot of the masculines are struggling in the depths of inadequacy issues, self-worth issues, and they're still searching for that source of material support. But you've got to keep perfecting your talent, perfecting your skills, because in theory, yes, we should come into union when the feminine aligns with her path. But right now, it's like there's something that's not fully available when it comes to the world card and closing out this cycle. And so we can't keep looking to other people to bring this out in us, because we kind of have to go into the depths of all of the dimensions of our own gifts and our own skills. And then we have to properly direct ourselves without all of these outside opinions. And so I was showing the energy of the Hermit, which is like the gateway of completion, right? You think of the Hermit card, it's a 9 card. And this is where we are encouraged to own our disciplined practice. This is about taming the power of the small. And at times we do feel about this big on the journey. But we have to focus on empowering the entire process that we're going through, because it is a process. It takes time to go through this transmutational process. And so our potential can only fully be fulfilled when we go into the energy of completion of the Hermit and paying attention to the details, shining the light on all of these negative shadow aspects from within, and finding our determination to go through the transmutation. And so we got to be sensible, we got to be balanced, and we got to approach life with this problem-solving essence is what it feels like. And so I feel right now your ability to do your best to avoid frustration is going to really assist you, Divine Feminine. Keep working on creating new forms. Keep working on creating. Create is a big message, because the power on focusing in creating new forms is going to bring a very harsh reality check for the Divine Masculine. I think they're still searching. They're seeking. It's like they're kicking themselves in the butt. Spirit's kind of coming and kicking the door wide open, saying, hey, you got the key in your pocket, Mr. Divine Masculine. It's time to go through this power of regeneration, or you're going to end up losing your focus. And so right now, the masculine's in a very toxic cycle, I feel, where misery loves company. And isn't that usually how it goes? And so I feel as the feminine comes into collaborations with others, the masculine is having a hard time tempering his overwhelming frustrations, this overwhelming anger, and this need for expansion. And so he's going to have to correct the errors in his past judgment calls when it comes to this missed opportunity. And I do feel the masculines are in a deep, dark state of depression and dark night of the soul. But this is the drive that the masculine needs to refocus. And so he's kind of at that point, I feel, where the straw is going to break the camel's back, because he's overlooked the Divine Feminine. And this has really predetermined all of these failures that are playing out right now surrounding the masculine. And so we're here to use our life force energy to overcome impediments, to overcome limitations. And I feel the masculine is kind of losing power as the feminine just keeps pouring into her own cup. The masculine is getting a major wake-up call. There's this persistent universal force sapping his vitality, draining him of all of his vitality, and he's probably in a very toxic situation where every little tiny molehill turns into a great big mountain. Everything is in detriment, I feel, surrounding the masculine, and he's so focused on this obsession, I feel, towards the feminine, especially the more dedicated you are to your path. This creates so much pressure and stress on the flip side of the scales when it comes to the counterpart. And so keep taking that right action, Divine Feminine. Keep taking that right action, because inevitably it's going to lead to that moment of self-actualization with your counterpart. So you have the power to attract. You have the power to attract everything that you want. So keep focusing on your potential, harnessing those gifts, and activating other people's gifts and their highest potential. Keep holding that faith, because there's this persistent energy around the masculine. He wants to skip steps. You can't spiritually bypass. You can't skip the steps. You got to go right through the fire. You can't ignore what needs to be brought up and transmuted. And so we have to hold the faith. We have to have trust. That's a big message. We have to adhere to the higher will if we are to be led down the pathway of fulfillment. And so loyalty to the letter of the cosmic law is the feminine's role. Loyalty to the letter of the cosmic law. So keep holding that power. Keep focusing on bringing value into the collective divine feminine. And just like the mystery of God, you too are a mystery, divine feminine. And so right now the masculine is feeling very much endangered. He's being perceived as illogical during this process, I feel, and he's definitely doubtful. And so keep giving gratitude to the divine. Keep living your life in the embodiment of joy, divine feminine. Keep accepting all of the small rewards, all of the small victories, because it will lead to that completion of that larger victory. And so I do feel as we enter into eclipse season, we have the new moon in Virgo today, and then we are going to have in 2 weeks' time the full moon eclipse in Pisces. The divine feminine is exalted. You are the representation of the moon. You are the high priestess. The moon energy draws people in like the undercurrents of the ocean. And so you have the power. You have the power to nourish these higher perspectives, to bring that forward. And so you do have the power to enjoy the process. Enjoy the process, okay? Enjoy the process, divine feminine. And so there's not a single step the masculine is taking right now that holds much value when it comes to this journey, because I do feel the journey with the karmic situation is over, and now it is complete. But there's like this energy of like a final cleanup, I feel, is what's going on for a lot of the divine masculines. And so I was shown the Eight of Wands, the Hermit, and the Hierophant. And so there's a lot of channeling of messages concentrated from the higher realms coming in, kind of like a funnel. It's like a tornado, like a funneling of all of these energies. And there you are. You got to hold that Queen of Swords vibration. You're the Queen of Swords. You're here to be a public speaker. You're a truth speaker. You're a truth exposure, and you're here to embody the highest principled truth. So keep focusing on this enormous power that you hold when it comes to creating something meaningful and worthwhile for you, for the collective, and for the future. And so there's a high frequency coming in, I feel. And you're going to have to keep harnessing your abilities, and you're going to have to focus all of this energy, divine feminine. So keep focusing on success. Keep focusing on conserving your precious energy. Do not leak your energy. Pay attention to the details of people that try to pull at your energy when you're trying to go down this path and they try to pull you down that path. Don't leak that powerful energy. Do not pour that energy out. It's not a time to be passive. It's a time to be powerful. I do feel there's something clearing within the sacral chakra as well in these energies. We do have the capacity to persevere over these karmic timelines. We do. We have to stay focused. And it does take a very long period of time to go through this transmutational process. And so keep focusing on your project. Don't focus on any karmic issues. Focus properly on what it is that you're here to create, divine feminine, because without you embodying that Queen of Swords energy, you might not be able to concentrate long enough on what it is that you need to accomplish. And so own your determination. Become that source of inspiration for others. And that is going to trigger a source of frustration for the counterpart. And so your aura is here to facilitate all of these changes, both physically, mentally. You are here to affect all of the energies and people around you. So hold that high frequency. I was shown the Page of Cups, and what I heard was deliverance. So this is the gate of deliverance. We all have to go through the gateway of aloneness, like the Hermit, to go through this deep emotional exploration. So we all have the power and the will to deliver ourselves from evil. And so we're at a point where we're transitioning between struggle and liberation. And so it takes time to overcome survival fears, survival within the community, dependency issues. And so planning, we got to plan. We got to plan for sustainable foundations. And so I feel the feminine's in this state of recuperation, recuperating what she's lost. And you can now have the ability to kind of relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor, divine feminine. It's like you have mastered the strength, the spiritual strength of the ego, and you know how to enjoy being alone. And so this is making the masculine very frustrated, very agitated, very nervous, like energy, like, oh my God, I can't stand still. I can't stand still. And so his ego right now is very uncomfortable. And I just feel like he feels like he's been alone for way too long. And so there's this resoluteness surrounding the masculine. And so as you step into your power, as you step into your authority, divine feminine, and you go through this shedding of all of the old qualities forever and ever, you are stepping into liberation. I feel a lot of the masculines are finding it very hard to have any type of peacefulness around them. And so all of these forces are basically saying, hey, divine masculine, stop being blind to the ego. You've got to understand there's a lot of disruptive effects that you have created for your own life, and humility is the pathway to deliverance. And so I feel a lot of the masculines are in some sort of state of humility due to the arrogant ego that has kind of ran the show. And so we all have an ego. We can go through an ego death, but the ego never really dies because we need an ego to get out of bed every day. And so this twin flame connection is really demanding the attention of the divine masculine in these energies. And so right now, there's this big cross of denial. Like they've been at the cross of denial. And your power to transform all of your intuitive intellect and to organize your purpose and maintain your own personal deliverance is creating this uncontrollable spiral around the masculine, because they've been at the cross of denial for such a long time. They're destabilizing. Everything around the masculine is destabilizing. They can run, and they can run for a long time, and they can run pretty far, but they can't hide from this process of deliverance. And so I do feel the rigidity, the inflexibility surrounding the masculine is demanding revolution. And so there's a certain amount of deviation surrounding the masculine right now that is needing to be purged. And so as the feminine demands this absolute victory, because you know your worth and you know your value, this is going to lead the masculine to the rejection of those negative relationships that have kept him stuck. And so my daughter, my little girl, she's going to be 8 just before Christmas. She is completely obsessed with the Descendants series on Disney, the Descendants movies. And I gotta say, I'm quite a huge fan of the movies too. I love Disney. And what I heard was off with their head, off with their head. And so right now it's like the energy of decapitation for the masculine because they haven't been reasonable. They haven't been fair. And it's almost the energy of treason. And it really makes me think of the Descendants movie, The Rise of the Red, off with their head. And so there's a lot of necessary destruction surrounding the divine masculine at this time because they are in a position where they feel like they're in power and they're about to get knocked off of their high horse. And this kind of has to happen before liberation can kind of take place. And so this, coupled with all of these other cosmic forces, are removing the masculine from that terror. I want to say like it's a terror. And so there's a lot of distortion of the ego happening right now. And the masculine is going through what he feels a very cruel punishment. But really is the energy of what goes around comes around. And we create this by living in a state of denial. And so I do feel we're here to be in what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word that I'm looking for, but we're in this portal of spiritual bonding is really what it feels like. And so we're here to channel these energies for the community. We're here to seek the better whole, the bigger whole. And so we're here to be of support within the community. And so we have to go through the gates of aloneness. There's a couple gates of aloneness where, you know, we're alone even when we're with a group of people, and then we have to be alone. And so we got to go through all of these understandings of aloneness. And this is the beginning of the individualization process, of the re-identification process. And so we need to separate ourselves from all of the external in order to understand our true essence, in order to understand the desire within us for wholeness. Because we are not actually really separate from anything. But we do have to embody a state of wholeness, and we have to express that state of wholeness by experiencing these states of aloneness. And we can't do that when we're in connection to all of these outside sources. And so right now, that's essential, is this re-identification. And so the Page of Cups is saying the love of work, the love of life, the love of art. And so when we're involved in work that we love, that is correct for us, that feeds our soul, that feeds and nourishes our life, then we're on the path of deliverance, right? So right now, I think the masculine is bargaining with the universe, saying, hey, I'll do whatever it takes, because the ego is still clinging. So right now, I think what the masculine is being really asked to do is to show appreciation for the divine feminine, to show appreciation for her loyalty to the path, for her loyalty to the masculine, for her loyalty for the efforts in supporting the community emotionally and spiritually and feeding the community, taking care of those around them. And so I feel a very strong King of Cups energy. I feel the masculines are finding themselves looking for friendship, looking for some type of community, seeking that family. So we're in the gateway of family, right? And so the manifestation of the macro into the micro. And so this is all about new communal efforts, embracing all of our transpersonal experiences and finding our right expression. And so the mother and the father energy was loud, the empress and the emperor energy was loud. And so when we come into a position of inherent respect, we have to earn that respect. Respect is earned, right? And so we're here to develop our gifts. We're here to keep harmony within the collective and to maintain balanced, healthy, reciprocal relationships. The twins came here to create harmony, to create beauty, to create deeply rooted family values that can endure the test of time. And so all good relationships need to be rooted in friendship. And so I think right now it feels like the feminine's in this place of zero polarity, non-polarity, and this is the gateway of responsibility for the masculine, where he needs to understand the responsibilities of the higher principles of being a true emperor and to lay that foundation for successful cooperation and compromise with the divine feminine. So there is a possibility of maybe like a Page of Cups, King of Cups energy coming forward, offering friendship first. That's going to be the first step of responsibility, I feel. And so I do feel that's a possibility in these energies. It's almost like embracing the outsider, because the feminine has been an outsider for quite some time. And so the masculine's kind of like at the cross of bargains with the divine. And I heard that song, I only talk to God when I need a favor. And so the success of any group effort or any family is all dependent on maintaining structure and order. And that's the emperor's job, is to maintain structure and order. And so you have the correct ability, though, now, divine feminine, to judge whether the divine masculine coming forward, if his behavior is appropriate or not, and you will act in the balanced manner that he brings forward his energy in. And so there's a lot of past transgressions, though, that need to be talked about, that need to be laid on the table in order to appropriate this relationship. And so there's a lot of past negative behaviors that need to be talked about. And so right now, the masculine is being tested incessantly by these cosmic forces. And so this is all about accepting responsibility, I feel. And it really is about leading by example. And there's been a lot of inappropriate, insensitive behavior that the masculine has played into. And now he's being asked to take on a leadership role and to do that through exemplary behavior moving forward. And so the twins are the manifestation of these higher principles in our everyday affairs, right? That is what we are here to embody, the possibility of these highest principles in all relationships. And that does result in the leadership role of the twins. And so we're at the manifestation point of that. And so the masculine generally now needs to accept that true leadership of the father role, of what a true father embodies and represents. And he, wherever he's at, I don't think he feels valued as a fatherly role model. And so he might be a little bit oversensitive to anyone that is criticizing him. But I felt this energy of like a great migration, of like a great big migration of a mass wave of unions. And so this is about devotion to family. devotion to healing. And so right now the masculine's in some type of cycle where there's a lot of emotional dependency. And usually when we're in a codependent emotional cycle, that does turn love into hatred eventually. And so when codependency turns love into hate, that is what will complete that negative cycle. And that is what will allow the masculine to find the energy to step into his purpose, the purpose of maintaining true family values and principles and recognizing the value of the divine feminine. And so the divine feminine has a gift for all of this inner meaning, I feel, of family, an inner meaning of appreciation for people and their values. And so the feminine holds all of the possibility of extending, right? Extending the joy, extending the love, extending friendship, extending value. And there's a diversity surrounding the masculine that he can no longer ignore when it comes to this new family structure. And so there's a big withdrawal surrounding the masculine. He's like in a cycle of depreciation is what it feels like. And so right now we're at the gateway of the Ace of Swords, the King of Cups, and laying down a burden. And so we're in the channel gateway of communal efforts. And so we have to recognize our own power. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And we are here to bring communities together with our warmth, with our friendship, and with our nurturing nature. The twins, when they come together, have the ability to make deep-seated emotional connections. And through our touch, through our sensitivity, through our energy, we are here to open up the gateway of openness, of oneness. And so I do feel there might be an offer coming, divine feminine. There might be an offer coming. It was like the gateway of a mouth opening. And so I do feel the masculine is preparing to speak up, is preparing to step into that central role of the father within that family structure. And I do feel what the masculine fears most is getting trapped in an old cycle and the feminine kind of leaving him behind. So let's jump in with some cards. Let's see what else needs to come through with the tarot. I knew this was going to be a little bit of a long one today with everything that came through, but we're going to jump in with the cards, and we're going to start off with the archetype deck to see what other messages need to come through for the twins. So we got Goddess on the bottom of the deck, and we got the Prince. So I do feel there's a love offer coming. The masculine wants to come in with an offer. I think he's hiding this from everybody. And I do feel he's recognizing where he's been exploited. And so he's recognizing you as the goddess, divine feminine. He's recognizing you as that beautiful feminine expression of the goddess wisdom. So it's kind of like a Knight of Cups coming towards an Empress, and that Knight of Cups better spiritually mature into that King of Cups first. But let's get into it, and let's see what needs to come through for the divine masculine first, the major archetype energies surrounding the divine masculine collective, please. The father energy, I love it. So the masculine is needing to face where he's had this dictatorial control issue, where he's abused his authority. And so the masculines are here to step into that true father role. They're here to embrace their talent for creating and supporting life for the feminine on the bottom of the deck. And so the masculines are understanding they are here to be that positive guiding light within a tribal union. We get companion, and we get the Don Juan. And so there's a karmic reckoning when it comes to the masculine kind of playing into that Knight of Wands energy, where they use their power for romantic attraction for their private agenda. And this is being spotlighted now on the masculine of what a true companion is. And so the companion card is saying, hey, I think the masculine is facing some type of betrayal because he did misuse his power. He did misuse his authority, and he might be going through a major loss of personal identity here. But on the flip side, he's going to be coming in unselfish with this energy of unselfishness and loyal commitment towards the feminine. So what needs to come through for the divine feminine? We got the slave energy. So stop giving your power away. Stop leaking your energy. Surrender your power of choice to the divine and have complete trust, because you are not stuck. You do have choices. You can choose to move on and stop being afraid to make choices. We got the femme fatale, but it flipped out and reversed. And so this is where you are learning the appropriate use of your femininity, the appropriate use of your sensuality. So release attachment to money and power. Release attachment to money and power. I think the energy is really highlighting where you need to open up your heart and where you need to release the past rejection from the masculine. Bottom of the deck, we get detective and we get mystic. It's kind of feeling like Virgo Pisces energy. And so I do feel we all have great powers here that we're here to harness effectively. And so be the observer, really observe your intuition, seek out that truth, because there is this energy of delusional rapport that the divine is kind of initiating here. And there is some type of intimate union going on between the twins and the divine. And so we are here to express our soul's insights. We all have our unique symbolic language of expression. So turn your lyrical gift into a positive effect for the collective. Let's go a little bit further here with the Hidden Secrets deck. We'll get a couple of these out for each of the counterparts. Look at that bottom of the deck, family. That's what it all comes down to, is family, parenthood. And so the energy really is fertile for these unions to start to come to fruition. So what needs to come through for the divine masculine? Quite a bit of energy, distance. So there's a recognition of the space that the masculine has created. There's still a blockage here when it comes to the separation. I do feel the masculine is preparing to return and to seek out a second chance. There is going to be an opportunity for the masculine to make amends. He knows it's only you. There is a recognition that it is only you. He is devoted to you. He's actually craving you right now. And the releasing card came out in reverse. So I do feel he wants to come back from what it is that he let go of, what it is that he walked away from. And I think pride is a block. He's also stuck in a very deceptive cycle with somebody that I feel is very trickster-like. And I do feel there is a confession coming, but there's some type of block that the masculine needs to work through first. And maybe he's concealing the fact that he wants to return to you. But there is this energy of coming clean. So do be prepared to receive a message from the counterpart, because he's releasing the karmic contract. I think he's working on releasing his arrogancy, his pride. And it's like he does have the eye of the tiger, so he is seeing things clearly. So we're going to see what needs to come through on the divine feminine side. So stop feeling like this is hopeless. If you find yourself sinking in despair or falling apart, get back to the truth of the matter and set those intentions honestly. There is clarity coming, so stop feeling like you're helpless and hopeless. You are not a damsel in distress. Stop escaping. I do feel you two are blocking and pushing away the counterpart's return because of an abandonment wound that needs to be worked through when it comes to the masculine walking away, leaving you out in the cold, and, you know, just leaving you out. And so I kind of feel like both the counterparts are kind of watching, spying on one another. It doesn't have to be. But if the counterpart is watching you, he's definitely keeping a tab on your social media networking. He's gaining information in some mysterious ways here. But he's spying and at the same time running. And so we got to clear the running, chasing dynamics within these connections. So the masculine, you know, has ghosted. He's disappeared. He's like the invisible man. And I do feel he's spying on you. And he's going to be in hot pursuit of you very soon. So there's going to be some new possibilities here. I feel ascension. And so there's going to be a point here where the masculine is going to have to take a risk for this new adventure. But first, it's going to require the finality. We have to close out the past cycles. We've got to leave behind the past. We have to have a final farewell to the old ways, and that might require an apology. And so forgiveness. There's like a coming to Jesus moment here. And so that someday, that one day, that somewhere, another time, I do feel there is an apology coming. And right now, the masculine is just having a hard time finding those words. He's having a hard time finding those words, and he's being blocked from communicating with you until he clears out all of those third-party attachments connected to the peers. And so keep holding the faith. Keep holding the faith. Keep expecting that this manifestation is coming to fruition, Divine Feminine, because the Divine Masculine Collective is in a very healing portal right now. They're releasing, they're purifying, they're cleansing, and they're healing all of these rejection and abandonment wounds, and working through this irrational fear when it comes to taking a leap of faith and asking for a second chance. And so there is going to be an opportunity for reconciliation here. So let's get a couple tarot messages out and go a little bit further. Third party is done. The masks are off, and there's this energy of revival. So what else needs to come through for the Divine Masculine, please? Ace of Cups reversed. I feel a major heart purge. I do feel the masculine is struggling. There's a lot of stuck life force energy, and it is on the heart. And so there's a big need for the masculine to unblock the heart. But he's getting some bad karma. He's facing challenges and delays and setbacks. He could be struggling financially. There might be eternity events when Jupiter stations retrograde in Gemini. But I do feel the biggest block surrounding the masculine is the karmic. She doesn't want to let him go. She's holding on for dear life. Controlling, possessive. I just feel a nastiness, but that's going to bring forward that shift in perspective. So the masculine's getting a wake-up call. Definitely getting a wake-up call, and he will survive and be victorious over these karmic challenges. So he could be connected to a Leo or an Aries or a Sag. Let's see what needs to come through for the Divine Feminine. You are the High Priestess, and so truths are being unveiled. You got to stop being overly reliant on other people's advice. You already know. I also feel it's time for you to come out of the darkness. It's time for deep-seated healing. Like, it's time for healing. So I just feel there's going to be an unexpected arrival for you, Divine Feminine. You might not even see this coming. But yeah, there's going to be an unexpected revival. That's exactly what it feels like here, Divine Feminine. And so I do feel we just had Pluto move from Aquarius into Capricorn. So there is a final cleanup going on here. And so keep trusting in the downloads you're receiving. There's going to be an unexpected revival here coming up because it's long overdue. And so we're closing out a major 7-year cycle, I feel, connected to the Chiron and Aries. So we've all kind of gone through some type of identity crisis within the last 7 years. And now this cycle is reaching completion. And so keep speaking your truth. There is something coming back around, and the scales are going to be balanced, Divine Feminine. So release fears about the masculine coming out of hiding, because it's kind of time for this heart healing and for this rectification. And there's the masculine taking that leap of faith. And so he's finding his drive, his determination to step into a leadership role. He's at the crossroads, but he's definitely going through a major heart purge because he's been living in a deep state of emotional denial for such a long time. There's disillusionment. There's healing from that abandonment wound, and we are going to have victory and success. I think get ready to hear from your counterpart probably around that full moon in Pisces. The eclipse energy is coming in, and so all has not been revealed yet, but the truth is about to come to light. And I feel around that eclipse there's going to be unexpected communication arriving. So let's get some twin flame messages from my handmade twin flame deck. And so balance. Find your center, Divine Feminine. Find your inner peace. Embody that state of wholeness. And that's going to flip the script very quickly. So what's the closing message here for the twins today? Soul lessons, soul contracts. That's the big message here. And what else do we get? We get these transits. So these eclipse transits are pushing us all into supporting this movement forward. And so look for the silver lining. Look for the silver lining in this very traumatic twin flame experience, because we are about to go towards a very uplifting path. And so your inner work is paying off, Divine Feminine. Get ready, because there's a massive change in the wind, and we are finally shifting out of difficulty. So try to see the innocence in everyone involved, because until we know, we don't know. And that's kind of what I got for a message today, guys. So I really hope this helped. I hope this resonated. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, a twin flame reading with me, check out the description box below. There you will find a link to my webpage. I would love to get that booked in for you. I hope to see you all again next time. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.